Another crazy NFL offseason quarterback carousel is about to unfold.
Caleb Williams and Drake May will go to the Commanders and Patriots, respectively.
Nearly one-third of NFL teams could feature a new starting signal color come week 1 of next year. So with that, let's dive into 10 NFL teams who desperately need a new quarterback and who their top target should be. Washington Commanders, Caleb Williams. There are some franchises that are just so badly mired in dysfunction that it takes a big-time QB prospect to turn them around. Well, Washington is in that spot now. Enter USC's Caleb Williams, who checks about every box that you need in a franchise QB to build around. With no playoff wins since 2005 and no winning season since 2016, the Commanders have to go big or go home. Give up 3 first-round picks to Chicago if they have to move up for Williams, so be it. He's not the boomer bust prospect that 2012 second overall pick Robert Griffin III was. You get some weapons in free agency, you trade up for the top pick, you take Williams, and you reap the rewards from there. Pittsburgh Steelers, Kirk Cousins. Allow us to propose something awfully bold here. It's not the Steelers' MO to spend crazy on marquee free agents, but 2024 should absolutely be an exception, especially if Cousins does end up leaving the Minnesota Vikings. The Steelers haven't had a losing season since 2003. They also haven't had above-average quarterback play since Ben Roethlisberger's last healthy season in 2018. In other words, the Steelers are truly one solid QB away from being a Super Bowl contender. Now, just imagine if the Steelers landed Cousins. You would join an offense led by young stars Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Najee Harris, and Pat Freiermuth. For once, Cousins would also be supported by a championship-level defense anchored by Watt and Alex Highsmith. Cousins put up remarkable stats on a mediocre Minnesota Vikings team, even before Justin Jefferson arrived. He joined a well-coached Steelers team with no other clear-cut weaknesses. Among the QB-needy teams with championship aspirations, the Steelers are the best fit for Cousins. He's also the best option for the black and gold. So hey, go and get him, Steelers. Provided he becomes available. New England Patriots, Drake May. The Patriots are most certainly moving on from Mac Jones, and we wouldn't be surprised if Bailey Zappi wasn't retained either. Anyhow, the Patriots are in a good spot to take one of the top QB prospects in this year's draft. With Caleb Williams unlikely to be available when it's their time to pick, the Pats should zero in on North Carolina's Drake May. He's got a rocket of an arm and comes with a dynamic two-way game that Tom Brady and Mac Jones could only dream of. With plenty of cap space, the Pats would have to upgrade their woeful receiving and running back core. If they do that and manage to snag May and build around him, well, the future will suddenly be very bright in Foxborough once again. Seattle Seahawks, Zach Wilson. We know many of you are going to laugh at us, but come on, hear us out here. The Seattle Seahawks are essentially in win-now mode with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Kenneth Walker, Devin Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen, and Boye Mafe in their primes. Geno Smith was a nice story in 2022, but he came back down to earth this year and is not the long-term option that we were hoping for. The Seahawks can save about $14 million by cutting the one-hit wonder who will be 34 years of age next year. The Seahawks could certainly take a QB in round 1, but I think we all could sort of endorse the idea of maybe taking a flyer on Zach Wilson. I know, it sounds ludicrous when you first hear this, but Wilson has had little help with the Jets. No offensive line, no qualified offensive-minded coaches to groom him, literally only Garrett Wilson as a game-changing pass catcher. So now just imagine if Wilson and that big arm of his got to throw to Metcalf, Lockett, and Smith-Njigba, with Walker and Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. If Pete Carroll can turn a 32-year-old journeyman and Geno Smith into a Pro Bowler, who's to say he can't make the former number 2 overall pick a star as well? Denver Broncos, J.J. McCarthy. We don't fully endorse the Broncos' idea of moving on from Russell Wilson, who kind of looked like his old self again in 2023. But Sean Payton clearly is not sold on him, and the Broncos seem ready to move on after benching Wilson for the final 2 games because of his refusal to adjust the injury guarantees in his contract. So the Broncos need someone new at QB with Wilson on his way out, and this time they have to go through the draft to find the next signal caller. Michigan Wolverines QB J.J. McCarthy feels like the perfect target for a Payton-coached offense, and he should be there when Denver picks in the middle of round 1. McCarthy is perfect for Payton because he has pinpoint accuracy, excellent decision-making, and rarely turns it over. Unlike so many other young QBs, McCarthy avoids forcing things and is always content to take the easy stuff the defense gives him. Finding one more stud pass catcher and throwing McCarthy in that offense will lead to a promising future in Mile High City. Minnesota Vikings, Bo Nix. The Vikings could look at re-signing Kirk Cousins, or they could maybe try to pick up another veteran like Russell Wilson. But the Vikings only won a single playoff game with Cousins. He's coming off surgery on a torn Achilles and will be 36 next year. So we propose the idea of just letting him walk and building around a new young QB. The Vikings won't be in range to draft Caleb Williams or Drake May, but they should be able to have several options in their next tier of QB prospects. How about Oregon's Bo Nix, an explosive dual-threat QB who could produce immediately in Kevin O'Connell's potent offense? He'd be throwing to football's best wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, not to mention 2023 breakout star Jordan Addison and Pro Bowl tight end TJ Hawkinson. The bottom line is they should get their QB of the future now. And Nix's skill set makes him the ideal successor to Cousins. Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix Jr. The Falcons had a top 10 defense this season, an elite offensive line, and the talents of Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Tyler Algier. So, what exactly went wrong? Oh, that's right, the quarterback room. Asking Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke to move the needle at the game's most important position was certainly a choice, and the result, a 6th straight losing season. The Falcons need a young and dynamic QB with his pocket awareness and mobility, and of course his high football IQ. Just gonna add that Michael Vick and Matt Ryan were the last two QBs Atlanta used a first-round pick on, so it might be a good idea to take a swing in the draft again. New York Giants, Jaden Daniels. The structure of Daniel Jones' contract means that they can't realistically cut ties with him until next year. Meanwhile, how about trying again at quarterback in this year's loaded class? If there's one guy that should be atop their radar, it is Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels. Remember, Giants head coach Brian Daboll was the OC in Buffalo who unlocked Josh Allen's potential. Danny Dimes had a career year under him in 2022. So just imagine what Daboll might do with a guy of Daniels' upside. All those back-breaking turnovers Danny Dimes would commit? What if we told you that Daniels had just 7 total interceptions over his 2 seasons, 715 total pass attempts at LSU? The G-men absolutely have to rebuild their receiving core. But if they keep Saquon Barkley and pair him with Daniels, well, that is a great start in reconstructing your offense that has been mired in mediocrity for far too long now. Las Vegas Raiders, Justin Fields. If we were the Chicago Bears, we'd lean towards keeping Fields and either trading the #1 pick or using it on prized wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. In the event that the Bears decide to take Williams, then Fields is going to get traded, and the Raiders need to have the Bears' number on speed dial. Fields is the type of QB that the Raiders can rebuild their offense around. If they make a win-now move for a guy like Fields, well, you figure they'll keep Devontae Adams and probably try to keep Josh Jacobs while they're at it. The Raiders kept Derek Carr for way too long and made a mistake by signing Jimmy Garoppolo. They need to find a young QB this year, ideally one with dual-threat abilities like Fields, and build a more balanced offense. What, you just can't have a pocket passer with no mobility throwing it up to Adams, Jacoby Myers, it's all day long. We just can't help but envision the potential of a Raiders offense with a dual-threat guy like Fields working with Jacobs, Adams, and Myers. Throw in Vegas' surprising turnaround on D this year, and you'd have a team more than ready to compete in the loaded AFC. New Orleans Saints, Russell Wilson. The Saints don't seem keen on rebuilding, and will probably try to win again in 2024. We don't necessarily agree with that idea, but we suppose it makes some sense given that they play in football's worst division. Derek Carr underperformed in the first year of a $150 million deal. The Saints can't realistically get out of the contract until 2025, but they can pay him to sit on the bench for 1 year. No big deal. Which then brings us to Russell Wilson. Wilson bounced back pretty well in Denver, just not well enough for Sean Payton. Wilson will have to accept a starting job from a mushy middle team. But the Saints kind of make sense for a variety of reasons here. Assuming that they keep their roster intact, the Saints would supply Wilson with Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, and Jawan Johnson. He'd have a top 10 defense by his side, and again, football's worst division. Wilson will get a nice payout from Denver anyway, so money should not be the factor here. The Saints can give him a 1-year prove-it deal and see how he fares. At the very least, he's an upgrade over anything the Saints have used in the post-Drew Brees era. But which other NFL teams badly need a new QB for 2024? And who do you think they should get? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.